So today you guys are going to be listening to a little conversation with me talking about the current state of the women's world heavyweight championship picture. I've been seeing a lot of opinions about where should the women's championship go for the world heavyweight title for the women. So I thought, you know what? Let me give my 2 cents on this short form podcast. Hopefully you guys enjoy. Remember, subscribe. Spread the word of the Wrestling Takeover podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your audio content, and enjoy a great audio conversation.
Welcome to...
You're listening to the Wrestling Takeover.
What is your name?
With your host, Jordan Turner, who's always going to keep it real.
Come on, King.
Inside and outside the ring.
Let me make myself clear. He's got the fans behind him, King.
It's time to take over, King.
Are you ready? He's all fired up now, King. The Takeover.
Let's go.
Blessings to each and every one of y'all listening to the Wrestling Takeover podcast today on this Friday. How's everybody doing? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the Wrestling Takeover podcast. If you guys are listening to it on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Play, or wherever you get your audio content, I'm your host, Jordan Turner. This is the most creative and honest podcast in the wrestling space. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know the vibes. Let's get into it, family. We are going to be talking about the state of the women's world heavyweight championship picture. We got no champion. We don't know what's going on. There's been innuendos. There's been speculation. There's been people giving their 2 cents, giving their perspective on it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do the same. So I want to dive into this short form podcast for you guys. Listen, I want to send positive energy, positive vibes to Naomi, Jimmy Uso, and the whole Bloodline family. Peace and blessings to you guys. Naomi is going to come back, and when she comes back, she's going to come right for the world title. Now, the championship is, as we know, it's vacated, and everybody's talking about it. Everybody's giving their 2 cents. And as we look at the landscape of the women's division on Monday Night Raw, I personally believe it's really stacked. I believe the women's championship picture is stacked. There's a lot of potential contenders, you feel me? So we're going to break this shit down, psychoanalyze everything, and pick the best form of champion that I personally believe that the WWE might be heading to. Let's talk about this. So I want to talk about Roxanne Perez. Roxanne Perez is somebody that I personally have been following since her days in NXT. I'm a big fan of the prodigy, Roxanne Perez. Her future is very bright, right? Her future is very bright. She has a lot of upside, you feel me? And I think she is definitely a future world heavyweight champion. She is a potential candidate to win that title. I want to make that clear. She is a potential candidate to win that title. Not to mention, she already has an in storyline there with Liv Morgan, who we all know is out with injury. And she's going to return as well pretty soon, you feel me? So if you have a built-in story, and I understand, I totally get it, I understand that it's not everyone's cup of tea. It's not the biggest potential match at WrestleMania for the women's world heavyweight title. It might not happen. We don't know. It might actually happen. We don't know. But I understand that it's not a big-time match. But for the story arc for Roxanne Perez, for Liv Morgan, a Roxanne Perez World Heavyweight Championship run until Liv Morgan comes back and you intertwine those two ladies fighting over the title, it really makes a lot of sense if you really think about it. But that's number one. Number two, Raquel Rodriguez. I want to bring her up. I'm not the biggest Raquel Rodriguez fan. I'm not. But I got to be real with y'all. That's another story. I got to bring in all angles here. So that's another story arc with Liv Morgan. You can also even add Roxanne Perez, you could potentially do a triple threat match between Morgan, Rodriguez, and Perez for the World Heavyweight title. And it does make sense. All three ladies are in Judgment Day. So you can really intertwine that type of story arc and how people are complaining about, oh, the WWE product doesn't really have a lot of story, character development, this and that. This has story. This has a lot of story that you can conjure up and potentially create. Now, again, is a Liv Morgan, Roxanne Perez, and a Raquel Rodriguez match, is that big time? No. For me personally, no. It's not big time. But for majority of people, that might not be big time to you guys as well, too. But the story makes sense. It does make sense. So, Raquel Rodriguez, I personally don't see her winning the World Heavyweight title. But for the story arc same thing with Roxanne Perez, the story arc, it does make sense. Now, I definitely see a World Heavyweight title in the future for Roxanne Perez. I could see one for Raquel Rodriguez too, but more for Roxanne Perez. That's just me, where I'm coming from. Maybe you guys think differently. So that's Roxanne Perez's perspective. That's Raquel Rodriguez's perspective. Both in Judgment Day, it does make sense. Let's go down to Stephanie Vaquer. This is a woman that her push has been very interesting. That's the best word I can describe her push. It's been very, very interesting. I think WWE is being patient with Stephanie Vaquer. They're being patient with her. They don't want to rush her push to the top. And I have been outspoken, giving you guys my opinion about the push of Stephanie Vaquer and why I personally feel WWE needs to be very, very careful. They honestly had an out when Naomi announced that she was a couple weeks pregnant and she was going to be off of WWE television, because the WWE was going to originally run Naomi versus Stephanie Vaquer at Clash in Paris. And I said that WWE is going to run into a wall with that match. And we got what we got. I hope you guys do understand that the WWE is going to go to Australia. I believe it is going to be for Crown Jewel in Australia coming up in the next coming months. I'm just letting everybody know now. Rhea Ripley will either be the champion going into that match, or Rhea Ripley is going to be a part of either a one-on-one, triple threat, or fatal four-way, whatever it is. I'm telling you right now, that is going to be opposing Rhea Ripley. And I also want to say, I will not be surprised whatsoever if we get Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley again, but in Australia. I want to throw that out there right now because, and the reason why I want to throw that out there, because I know a lot of people want something new. They want something fresh. They don't want an Io Sky. They don't want a Rhea Ripley to be champion. Bless you guys. I understand where you guys are coming from. But y'all got to also understand that these are Triple H's girls. These are the try and true. These are the two girls that Triple H can depend on. He could depend on a Rhea Ripley. He could depend on an Io Sky. Can he depend on these other women? If you go off on television, it doesn't look like it. I would say if I had to pick one person that it seems like Triple H is really depending on, that's Roxanne Perez. She needs to be in consideration to win the World Heavyweight Championship. But guys, do not be surprised. Don't be surprised if we get Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky for the World Heavyweight title at Australia for Crown Jewel. Please, please don't be surprised. Who's going to win the World Heavyweight Championship? Because the person is going to go one-on-one with Stephanie Vaquer for the title. I believe the title will be vacant. I don't think we're going to crown a champ because the pay-per-view is next weekend. The pay-per-view is next weekend, so we don't know how things are going to be shaken out. We don't know how things are going to go. Bayley is not winning that championship. I think Bayley's in her own storyline. She has this psychopathic just persona, which I like. I'm a fan of it. So I'm really interested to see where that's going to go for Bayley. Asuka and Kairi Sane are still in a tag team, so they're doing their thing. I know a lot of people wanted Io Sky versus Asuka for the World Heavyweight title. I don't know if Asuka's going to be a part of this. I hope so. Hopefully she's in the mix, and is a part of it somehow, some way for the world title. She's definitely incredible. But I think it's going to come down to Roxanne Perez, Rhea Ripley, and Io Sky to win the World Heavyweight Championship. I really do. And I think the story is going to be built around Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. Those are Triple H's girls. Those are the girls that Triple H can depend on. And also, like I said, the pay-per-view in Australia, Crown Jewel, is going to be taking place. Rhea Ripley is going to be a part of that. Now, I want to bring up a name that a lot of people are starting to bring up within the inner circles, within the community, is Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair is somebody that it does make sense for her to win the championship. Naomi's out. Pick up the pieces. Martin, that TV show. If you know, you know. Pick up the pieces, right? That's what I could see with Bianca Belair. She's going to pick up the pieces from Naomi and win the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, that's an interesting decision because if that does happen, we could be in line with a Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair match down the road, maybe in Crown Jewel in Australia. But for some reason, I do think we're going to get Io and Rhea Ripley again. I do believe that. I don't know when we're going to get that match, but I do see it happening for a second time this year. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe WWE is going to go in a whole new, different direction. But I just sense that we're going to get Rhea Ripley and Io again this year. Bianca Belair winning would make sense from a storyline perspective with Naomi. It does make sense. The history between Belair and Naomi. Jade Cargill, right? You can include her potentially being involved, even though she's on SmackDown. You could do something with that. But Bianca Belair winning the World Heavyweight title and being the one to dethrone Stephanie Vaquer, I don't know how that's going to sit well with a lot of people who are fans of Stephanie Vaquer. My solution, this is just me. I am doing a Eliminator Fatal 4-Way with Roxanne Perez, Stephanie Vaquer, Rhea Ripley, and Io Sky. You build off of Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. You built that. This is a launching pad. One of them can win the title, and we get that final match at Crown Jewel in Australia between Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. And quite frankly, I do think that is going to be one of the tests. I do believe that's going to be one of the game plans for Triple H. I think it's too soon for Stephanie Vaquer. I genuinely do. She needs to be in line to win the Women's Royal Rumble. That is somebody who needs to be in line to win the Women's Royal Rumble. Quite frankly, I think the people who are going to win the Women's Royal Rumble potentially is Stephanie Vaquer, Liv Morgan, Roxanne Perez, potentially. Rhea Ripley and Io Sky are not going nowhere. They're not leaving the world title scene. They're not. So people just have to just respectfully, I would say, just accept it. They're not leaving the world title scene. You add Bianca Belair, we're cooking. We're cooking. We could run back the triple threat match at Crown Jewel in Perth, Australia. Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, and Bianca Belair Part 2. You can do the triple threat match over there. That does make sense. You don't need to rush Stephanie Vaquer. You could do Roxanne Perez. That'd be a wild card. It makes sense with the Judgment Day story. Think about that. It makes sense. So there's a lot of avenues that the WWE can go. And I also want to mention too, before I get out of here, hopefully you guys have been enjoying this short form podcast / video for you guys. Roxanne Perez winning the title and being a built-in story with Liv Morgan, that's something that needs to be in consideration. That's something that needs to be talked about. There's a lot of avenues that the WWE can go. I just don't know where they're going to go, but I'm very interested to see how that's going to come to fruition and come together. Stephanie Vaquer is already going to be in the match. Is it going to be a one-on-one? Is it going to be a fatal four-way, triple threat? We don't know. I personally would do the fatal four-way. Roxanne Perez, Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, and Stephanie Vaquer. The problem is, who's going to eat that pinfall? Who's going to eat that pinfall? That's the question. I'm not sure. I don't know. People would immediately be like, oh, Roxanne Perez. But Roxanne Perez is being built up right now. You want to protect, Rhea Ripley. And also, you want to protect Stephanie Vaquer and Io Sky. So, Roxanne Perez, if they eventually do the Fatal 4-Way, we don't know. She might be the all-woman out, or she might be the one that actually wins the title. Because of the storyline with Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, it does make sense. So there's a lot of avenues here that the WWE might go. I know I'm going to be right on one of them. I'm just interested to see where the WWE is going to go. But, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate y'all joining me. I appreciate y'all kicking it with me, Jordan Turner, host of the Wrestling Takeover Podcast. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know the vibes, man. Be sure to follow your boy on social media, on Twitter, at JT Takeover, on Instagram, at The Wrestling Takeover. Spread the word of the Wrestling Takeover Podcast, guys. Word of mouth goes a long way. Trust me. Word of mouth goes a long way. So spread the word of the Wrestling Takeover Podcast to your friends, anybody who's a wrestling fan out there. Spread the word and let them know to tap in to the Wrestling Takeover Podcast, the most creative and honest podcast in the wrestling space. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know the vibes, man. And I'll see y'all for a brand new video / episode of the Wrestling Takeover Podcast.